Feels good being back in this setup.
What did you say, punk?
So, we are basically pretty much past the halfway point of the year, as we are in July now, which is the 7th month of the year out of 12, but I figured I would start to kind of give you an idea as to what I've liked and what I've disliked from albums that I've heard this year, and I'm gonna split them into two videos. What you are watching right now will be what I think have been the top 5 worst albums of the year so far, and then on you guys will be watching what I think will be the top 5 best albums so far this year. Now, I'm not putting these albums in any particular order. I feel like I'm going to save that for when the actual year-end list comes out, when everything that I want to listen to has basically, been out and I've been able to rank it solid. These are just kind of the 5 albums from those categories that I've either liked or disliked. However, we are saving certain albums for last as the most disappointing album and the most surprising album we are going to basically talk about in the end of the video. So this one, you're going to be getting the most disappointing album, in my opinion, this year last. Without further ado, though, let's get this list started with a band that apparently is calling it quits.
Why can't you just please surrender? Surrender what you promised.
Godsmack with Lighting Up the Sky. This was not a great send-off. It really wasn't. I think they tried to mix everything together that they were known to do from their early stuff to now, and most of it just feels like a jumbled mess, and I don't know how their fans even slightly enjoy this, because to me, this is still just going off of the same old formula that they've been doing for practically years at this point. It's just not a fun record, and as a send-off, it should leave a lot of their fans disappointed. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a Godsmack fan, so to them, I have no room to talk. Look, I'm not the biggest Pierce the Veil fan either. Again, I think their lead vocalist kind of just has that squeaky voice that I'm not necessarily a fan of. They have some good songs, and I do really like the song Past the Nirvana off of this record, but that's about it. Everything is so cliche, emo, baby I miss you kind of thing, or I would die for you, or oh my god I feel so fucked up in the head. Like, it gets old after a certain point, and definitely gets old after a certain age. Plus, I feel like the way they teased this thing, starting it off with the single Past the Nirvana, to seem like it was going to be this more, like, heavy endeavor, to just kind of be more of this pop rock leaning effort, it almost wasn't worth the 7-year wait. This band has been in it long enough to know that you shouldn't be afraid to change your sound and your formula. I know Metallica have been so criticized for that ever since the Black Album, but I mean, Jesus, this is why I'm okay with them trying to change and do different things, because then you just get the same boring shit over and over and over again. This sounds like Hardwired to Self-Destruct. There's nothing new about this record. That's why I think I do enjoy a record like Saint Anger, because at least it's different. You can give it that. You're not listening to the same old bullshit that Metallica's been doing that makes them boring. Even though Saint Anger's still not that great of a record, but I praise them for going out of their comfort zone and doing something they knew would probably get a lot of hate. Now it just seems like they're too scared to do that, to move away from that simplistic formula that they've created for themselves, and it's leading to just a lot of blandness within the records. Like, for real, other than Lux Eterna, the intensity in a lot of these songs just isn't there. This one could have really went in the most disappointing, but with All Time Low, I feel like since 2012 they've been so like, oh, you'll like a record, and then the next record that comes out you'll be disappointed in, and then it's always the same cycle. So after I really enjoyed Wake Up Sunshine, which was a big step up from Last Young Renegade, I was hoping that this album, Tell Me I'm Alive, would at least feature some of what Wake Up Sunshine sounded like, and somehow it got even more pop-leaning, and there was features on this record that just shouldn't have been there in the first place. I feel like the intensity and just the catchiness from the past record didn't translate over to here, and you kind of get all-time low in a crisis as to what kind of band they want to be, because we know they still want to be pop punk, but they throw all these different genres around that don't usually tend to work all the time, and they just, I guess, try to make something stick. I guess after their song Monsters with Black Bear did so well, they thought maybe if we stick with that formula and just do it for an entire record, it would work, but it really doesn't. Now we're going to the most disappointing. This band hadn't released a record in a long time, sort of similar to the Pierce the Veil situation. However, I think I did have expectations for this band to at least do something that would be semi-entertaining in some way, but instead they gave us this mishmash of bullshit that it didn't even seem like everybody in the band was on the same page. They just threw shit together for the sake of saying that they made an album, when really none of this is cohesive at all. I mean, we go from your typical Avenged Sevenfold sound to somewhat sounding like Tame Impala, which just threw me the hell off that we're hearing like these like pop-leaning synths on an Avenged Sevenfold song. Again, I give them props for trying, but Jesus, what in the hell are you trying to accomplish with the record? Who are you trying to appeal to? There's no appeal here. It just seems like everybody had different ideas, and instead of trying to come up with the ideas that could work well together, they just threw it all in and were like, yep, here you go, here's our first album, and what was it, 7, 8 years at this point? Like, it just definitely felt more rushed than it should have been, and they've been working on this thing for a long time, and that's what makes it so disappointing, is at this point in their careers, it just feels like they've lost whatever integrity that they used to have. Like, I get it. In an interview, M. Shadow said they don't want to continue doing the same shit over and over. Again, that's fine, but you at least gotta find a sound or sounds that you want to incorporate into one said album instead of jumping around all over the place, because then it just sounds like a bunch of demos really mixed together that you just put on this record because, hey, you know, you want the synths on the record, here you go. You want the, you know, sick guitar licks on the record, here you go. You want the metal screaming on the record, here you go. It felt like they tried to appeal to too many people, not realizing that it's like, wait, who are we making this record for? It just jumps all over the place for no goddamn reason, and that's what makes it so disappointing. So yeah, that is it for my 5 least favorite records that have come out in 2023. So far this year at least, there's still more album reviews that I have planned to do until the end of the year, but for now, these would make the list as my least favorite. You can tell me in the comments below what have been some of your least favorite albums this year so far, and even give me your most disappointing, because I feel like every year there's always an artist that we expect to come out with something big that always ends up disappointing in one way or another. But until then, I will catch you guys with the albums that I think are the best so far in 2023.